watching these days? I'm watching From. It's taking me a minute to get through because I'll admit I get scared pretty easily, and it got me. It got me pretty good. And there are elements, especially in the first season, that really had me like freaked out. And then the second season. But here's my conundrum now. So I'm all the way through. I finally made it all the way through. I had to go through twice. I had to try it twice. The first two seasons, but this time go around, I made it all the way through. I'm caught up. And I think there has to be a challenge. I have never successfully written anything long form like a series, clearly. Not even for myself. I wrote, a couple of little short, teeny things for myself. I have a lot. My bookshelf is filled with stories I started over the years and never finished or published or any of that stuff. I think for the writer, the editor, the producer, the director, I think there comes a challenge when a show has multiple seasons. And fortunately, the seasons aren't very long, which helps, I think, save the story. But here's the challenge I think must come into effect. I think it must be a challenge to write answers that an audience wants. I think that has to be a challenge to write it in such a way that it feels organic and not kind of stilted. I think there also must be a challenge in continuing with the characters throughout the seasons. I, as an audience member, want the characters to continue. I don't want anything to happen to them. But the authentic evolution of characters. Sometimes I feel like, and it might be me, maybe I'm just ahead. It's probably me. I might be just ahead of the story, where I feel like the characters are not evolving, but almost devolving, but not in an organic way. If they devolved in an organic way, that would be also interesting, but they're not. It's almost as though there's no explanation for me why they seem to not know the circumstances, not know things. I don't want to spoiler. I don't do a spoiler. So I think that must be a challenge of writing a series, of having a story long form. I think there must be the challenge of character. How do they evolve? How do they shift? How do they evolve in an organic way that is authentic and true to the circumstances? I'm in season 4. I'm caught up, so I'm season 4, episode 3, and I've had a few times in season 3 and season 4 where I'll pause and I start arguing with the TV because I feel like the character should know. The character, this is not new for this character. And I also argue with why continue some, I don't know if they're just, why continue some things where by now characters should know. But then I guess maybe that's the puzzle maybe that's part of the puzzle of the show. Maybe there's not devolving, because that would be even interesting. Maybe there's a stagnation in characters because of the actual answer to what's going on. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth tuning in. There's a lot of theories on YouTube. People have ideas about what's going on. Some of them are helpful. If you just stick with the show, they're clearly right there too. So it's like, okay, I know that that's going to happen. Some of them are clearly spoilers. So you're like, okay, good. I know to expect that now. But I think I'm thinking of structure of story and the challenges that people must face when they're creating a story, the challenge of evolution, the challenge of growth, the challenge of devolving, the challenges that must come into telling a story. And sometimes it feels like there's a want to continue doing this story in the same way because that way had worked in season 1, had worked for most of season 2, but some of the same way doesn't, for me as an audience, it doesn't feel authentic anymore. It feels forced. And there's this interesting thing that comes up in the show where they talk about force, but it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it's something connected to story. It feels like something connected to structure and craft development. That's it. But I think it's worth tuning into, and I'm going to hang in there. Now, this is where my challenge comes. I'm going to be honest. My challenge comes when I start to spot these things. And then it's like, okay, Janine, push through. So I am looking for answers. I'm curious. I want answers, but not at the cost of story.